Hi guys, Brendan from TAT. Today I just want to do a short video about a couple of jobs that I did this week that I had some issues with. They were quite troublesome, but they're relating to the fuel system. Okay, so the first one is a diagnostic job booked in, so a ACV 40 Camry, so just the 2AZ 2.4 litre petrol engine, and booked in for just to check engine lights. So you think, okay, this isn't going to be much. When he came in, a lot more to the story, and a lot of the interrogation, or the interview if you like, went some ways to actually diagnosing it. So the story ends up, it's been like this since he had the car stolen. So the car was stolen, went to a panel beater or something, got a little bit of panel work in the rear corner, that got fixed up, and then it also had to go to another workshop, and I believe their job was to get some keys, because the keys were also stolen. So there was some module work involved there, and I had to try and dig through, did they replace the ECM, did they just replace a mobiliser module, or what was the story? So I had to get a lot of that. The customer gave me some good info as far as he was saying that he'd get this rough running, felt like he was going over corrugated roads sometimes when he would change lanes. So okay, that's a bit interesting, and a couple of other tidbits that sort of helped me along the way. So the interview is extremely important as part of the diagnostic process. Now, went in and scanned it, random misfire codes, and misses across all cylinders. So okay, that's a bit odd for a Camry. Went for a drive, and sure enough, yeah, the thing would miss while it was cold, but quite intermittently. So every maybe a minute or so on the first test drive, and then as it got warmer, got to the point where I wasn't getting any misfires at all. So went through my basic routines at the start of checking things like lights, battery, charge rate, all these kinds of common things that you want to start and make sure you're on the right foot. And in that diagnosis, I also did the fuel pressure, and while I did that, I got a sample, and that's important as we come back, because it sort of backtrack. That's where I could have got slipped up. So I did the fuel pressure and took a sample after the car had been running, so directly after that test drive. Very important point there. So fast forward a whole lot of testing. I had a sleepless night over this one trying to work out what it was. I was out even with my scope in the car, and had the amp clamp over the ignition coils and the injectors. So I wanted to make sure that was I losing injection or spark when these misfires were happening. No, I wasn't. So I was pretty happy with the PCM at that point, because really that's its two jobs. So no need to dive too deep into that. Also, I didn't have any VVT data on my scan tools, so I was like, okay, well, could we have a VVT issue going on here? So I checked cam crank correlation using the scope. So I scoped the cam sensor and the crank sensor, and I checked it when it was good running idle, and then I did one when it was a poor running idle, and by doing a cam crank correlation on the same engine just against itself in different conditions, I was able to see that during the misfire the cam crank correlation had not changed, so I wasn't suspecting that we had a VVT issue where it was improperly moving the cams. So fast forward a bit, and everything was sort of leaning towards, like it seems like there's something going on with the fuel system. Like he said, I could swerve lanes sometimes when it was cold and it'd start to misfire. I could go up a bit of an incline and it'd start to misfire a bit, independent of throttle application. It wasn't so much dependent on load. So I took another fuel sample, and I've got it here to show you what I found. Okay, so you'll see, not the cleanest container, but definitely something floating around in the bottom there, right? So where I came unstuck was when I took the initial fuel sample, everything had swirled together, and I probably got not a very good representation of what was going on in the tank, whereas when I did this last one, the car had been sitting, and so it allowed what is water, so I poured some out and burnt it, and I was left with some water sitting there on the bench. So the water had sunk to the bottom of the tank, and so when I've pumped it out to get another sample, I was able to see the water there, and bingo, found our problem, was able to move on with the repair from there. So in the end, it looks like he's got the car stolen. Someone's filled it up probably out of a jerry can with heaps of water in it, and ever since he got his car back, yeah, it has had random misfires. So not particularly a common problem, but definitely something to think about. And it was only the start of my fuel trouble issues this week, so quite happy that we've got that one out of the way. But in the next video, we'll talk about a Toyota Yaris and a fuel filter that was causing it to run rich. So I'll see you next time.